Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and I hope you are ready to listen to me talk about pro wrestling, because that's what we're going to do for a couple of hours now, right here on, well, wherever you're listening right now, whether it's on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes or your favorite podcast application, right? Because the audio is out there. You got the video on YouTube. Look, if you're on YouTube right now, consider giving a like. All right, on the video. Do it right now. Do it. That's great. And it helps. It helps out a great deal for the future of the podcast. It helps it grow. And if you would like to subscribe as well, I'd be much obliged, because then on top of that, you will never miss a single thing that I do, including my AEW Dynamite reviews, which I do every Thursday, the day after the show. So that's, that would be great. And you can also do that on your favorite podcast app as well, because the audio, everything I do ends up on the podcast, on the audio side as well. And if you're there, 5-star review on Apple Podcast, a 5-star rating on Spotify, that sort of stuff helps out tremendously, helps grow the podcast, helps generate more attention. And I want more attention. I'm an attention fiend. So help me out here. Just do it. All joking aside, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything that you do, for listening, for watching. Thank you for joining the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord if you like to talk about pro wrestling. Thank you for joining. Come on in. The door is open. We're waiting for you. And the link is in the description if you want to come pop by and check out the place. We're a nice bunch of Jackson Jills over there. Plus, you can also become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, which is another way to show some support on YouTube. If you do that, well, then you get access to members only streams. So, all things to consider. If you like what I do and you're able, and you're like, here's a little something for you, Warren, I appreciate it. It'd be very meaningful, would mean a lot, but it already means a lot that you're here. And for a WWE heavy show today, because look, one of the big ones, the Royal Rumble, a pay-per-view that I particularly like, happened this weekend. So I'm going to review that in detail. We're also going to preview NXT Vengeance Day. We got some news from Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock being at Wrestlemania or not this year. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. There's so much to go through. Thank you very much for being here. Without further ado, let's jump right in. We can jump right into it. Or can we? Hang on a second. What's going on here? There we go. That's better. Hey, I don't know if you noticed here at the bottom, right? But I have officially started a countdown for the most exciting wrestling match that I and you should be anticipating. Kazuchika Okada versus Kaito Kiyomiya, which is happening on February 21st. I have officially started a countdown, which I'm putting here. We are 20 days and about 6 hours away from it, from the moment that we're recording this. You should really be excited about it, because it is what an angle, what a story. This is awesome. And then they're going to beat the hell out of each other in the Tokyo Dome for our enjoyment. Pro wrestling rules. It really does. In the meantime, though, before we get there, because there's still 20 days before we do get there, let's kick off the weekly wrestling inspection. Might as well just go right ahead and start. Don't bury the lead. As the journalists say, you have to lead with your best foot forward. Let's start talking about the Royal Rumble 2023 that happened earlier this weekend. And boy, oh boy, Dave Pazewski, nice to see you, good guy, Dave. And boy, oh boy, did the Royal Rumble do some good business for WWE, and you can't take that away. That's just. Honestly, that's good news. It should be good news for everyone, because the Alamo Dome, right, in San Antonio, Texas, was packed to capacity. WWE announced 51,000. I think from what I understand, there's a gross estimation that includes, usually WWE in those numbers includes, like, they include staff, they include approximations of who are in suites and stuff like that. But this here, look, you cannot say that this was not a success. Livegate, $7.7 million is what WWE reported. $7.7 million. I think like this makes it, I think this makes it like the 11th biggest wrestling gate in the history of pro wrestling. And I think it's like the second biggest non-Wrestlemania gate in the history of pro wrestling. If I'm not mistaken. Viewership of the event on the Peacock went up 52% versus last year. Of course, we do need to point out that Peacock subs have roughly doubled since last year as well. There's twice as many, so just keep that in mind, you know. Merch sales are up 135% from last year's Rumble. Of course, I mean, you have some hot products, you have some hot commodities. People are going to buy merch, so 135%. That's nuts. They even said that the sponsorship revenue was up nearly 200%. You know, they said that the viewership of the event went up 52%, that there's more people who watched it. I think it was even determined that domestically, 2 million people watched the Royal Rumble on Peacock. And those are domestic numbers because the Peacock is not available outside of the United States. The rest of us watched it on the WWE Network. So you're saying 2 million viewers, right? Which had me questioning, and I think this is a legitimate question, and I've talked about this before, but I think it's still a significant question to ask. What constitutes a view on Peacock? Is it like, how long does it take before someone who's sitting down watching any type of stream is considered to be a view? I know, like on Nielsen, when they calculate their top streaming shows, they consider a view to be 2 minutes in. Is it the same thing on Peacock? I think that's a safe barometer, you know. But so essentially, you know, it's like on Facebook, right? Facebook, it's like 3 seconds is a view of a video, or something like that. I don't quite remember, but like it's an insanely short amount of time that is, you know, that constitutes a view on Facebook for Facebook videos, which has a tendency to boost numbers very artificially and maybe not exactly realistically. Mr. Fantastic, good to see you, by the way. Welcome. So we have this this situation here where I can't help but wonder what is a view, what constitutes a view, and in this context, let's just assume we're throwing ballpark things. Let's say that Peacock is follows the Nielsen definition of a streaming view. You know what constitutes a streaming view, which is 2 minutes. We have no indication of whether or not these people watch till the end, right? This is why we have quarter hours on TV ratings, right? Because just because you're watching the first 15 minutes or the first half hour of a show doesn't mean that you disappear, right? And so that's ultimately the thing, right? It's the stat that we're missing. The stat that we're missing that makes it really interesting is view time. That's really what. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. So that's essentially it. It's like if we had like total view time, if we had, or even percentage, right? That becomes interesting because here's the thing, right? It's like it's like anything. If you watch a thing and you stop watching, like, I get that you started watching it, but ultimately, did you stick with it? And that's something that streaming services are able to measure much more easily than Nielsen is capable of doing with regular television, right? Because they're absolutely 100% gathering this data. In my regular line of work, whereas I don't work in television or movies, I do work with streaming services. So I know that the streaming services collect this data and share it with their customers, their client base, their content providers, essentially. Because in a lot of cases for these streaming services, and I'm not saying that this is a paintbrush, that it happens the same thing for everyone, it's really not the same thing for everyone, but in a lot of cases, there's this math equation that exists where the total amount of views or listens that are registered that are registered across the entire platform for a month are then subdivided by each provider by the amount of content they supply versus the number of hours that they specifically received. You know, these are fairly complex algorithms, essentially, that are used to calculate the royalty payout, essentially. WWE probably doesn't consider that, doesn't necessarily get payouts in that regards, because we know they get an advanced deal. It's part of their deal with NBC Universal. But it's still interesting to think that like the most significant statistic, which is view time, that would be the one that would be much more interesting to get to peep your eyes on. Because if you're getting 75% view time, that's a raging success. If you get 50%, that is excellent as well. If we're talking about 20, 15, 10% of your view time, well, then it doesn't look as great, because then it becomes a question of people tune in, check it out, then they stop watching and they don't come back. That's essentially what it means. But of course, that's not the type of data that WWE is going to share with the viewing public. Again, like I said, because a lot of this is it's business information. It's BI. It's stuff that companies don't want to share with others. They don't want to share these types of minutia reports so that their competitors can tune in. Well, look, if WWE is doing this, then I should be able to cut a deal. Because that's where the deals are cut. It's on that type of information, as opposed to just, hey, the number of views. Sure. And, if 2 million people flipped on the Peacock and we're like, oh, WWE, and checked it out, that's impressive. Don't get me wrong. It'll be more than anything that I will ever do here on my little side of YouTube. But the really telling statistic, the good data that would really, I feel, allow us to get some type of insight into whether or not this was really consumed by the viewing audience, we don't have access to. So 2 million views, all right, that's cool and all, but ultimately, it's the view time that counts. And even on YouTube, and in the chat, where there was the question, how does it work on YouTube? YouTube is 30 seconds. You have to watch a YouTube video for 30 seconds before it's counted as a view. And then after that, when YouTube starts when the YouTube algorithm starts getting involved in this, it considers the number of views to be one metric among others, and it's not as weighted as heavily to the views as it once was, because YouTube has learned as time progressed that a view doesn't mean that you're sticking through to the rest of the video. So that's one of the reasons YouTube, for the past few years, right up until they launched Shorts, and very recently, they were starting to favor videos that lasted more than 10 minutes, because they want more people to stay on the platform, as opposed to coming in, watching a funny 10-second video and then leaving. They want people to stay. They want people to engage more. That's why they brought in live streaming, because they want more people to stay on the platform. More people staying on the platform means more engagement, means more advertiser revenue. It's all good for them, right? So that's why, that's why, the idea of making longer form content on YouTube itself is a good thing. And that's why they're creating shorts on the side as a secondary thing that you can create. But it's like two systems that are propelled differently into the YouTube ecosystem. Like the shorts are specifically like for quick in and out videos, but they still want you to do the long form stuff as well. So, I mean, look. So, and your view time, your viewership time, that counts. That weighs heavily in how the algorithm loves you or not. Views as well. If you get lots of views within a short period of time after you've posted the video, that looks good to the algorithm. The algorithm is like, oh shit, there's a lot of people tuning in to see this, then we're going to promote it more, essentially. That's a very short primer. Very, very short. Anywho, back to what we're talking about. Regardless of the fact that whether I'm being nitpicky about the 2 million is, because I feel like it's a bit of an empty number, but you cannot deny how good this was for business for WWE. Huge gate, tons of people. It was amazing. It was absolutely a fantastic financial success for them. Was it a fantastic success as far as in a wrestling show goes? As a wrestling show goes, look, here's the thing. And I'm going to preamble this. We're going to preface this. I'm sure that if you are a longtime listener of the show, you're probably half expecting what I'm going to think about this show. If you want a podcast which is going to gush over, all the extraneous affairs that occurred on this show. There are dozens, what am I saying? Hundreds of them out there that will scratch that itch. But here we're going to talk about pro wrestling. No, but yeah, you could absolutely go see Smackin' It Raw. But the thing here is that with Matt and the crew, Katie and Vince, I don't know why I was blanking out on their names, but Matt, Katie, and Vince, they're cool and they're fun and they're going to make it fun, right? Whereas there's other people who, look, I don't want to disparage anyone's work. And I especially don't want to give the impression that I was disparaging Matt's work, because Matt is fantastic. But we talk about pro wrestling here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. So this is the preface, okay? Are we ready to go? Are we good to go? Show started off with the Men's Royal Rumble. Cody Rhodes defeated the Floor to win. I'm going to take a victory lap. I'm going to pat myself on the back. This is Warren Hayes' victory lap right here. What have I been telling each and every one of you since WrestleMania last year? Cody Rhodes was going to win the Rumble. And I've been saying it consistently since. And the only time there was a wrinkle that was thrown in this plan in my brain was when Cody got injured and Seth started to fill a vacuum that was there. And I was like, and Seth being a Triple H guy was like, you know what? This might flip to Seth. He might, but Cody, they hyped the return of Cody. And this goes even before the vignettes, reminding us every week that Cody was injured. It turned into a meme for me and for people on the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord. Whenever we saw one of these videos, we were like, did you guys know Cody was injured? What? It turned into a meme because they were repeating it over and over and over. But, you know, look, can't blame anyone for not knowing what was going on, right? You can't just say, what the fuck? I don't understand. Where are the video packages? Christ, we got one every show for about 3 to 4 minutes reminding us that Cody was injured, so we're good. But it went even before that. I told you guys, the minute he came out at WrestleMania with the entrance he got, it was like, this is the guy. This is the guy that they want to be the guy. He would not have this type of presentation. He would not have this type of presentation if they didn't want him to be the guy. They were doing fucking Cody countdown clocks on Raw. Why did anyone have any other skewed perception of what was supposed to happen at the Royal Rumble than Cody Rhodes winning the Rumble? I don't know what I don't know what anyone. Well, Triple H got in charge and maybe he changed things. Cody checks every box that they want out of a champion. He looks the part. He dresses the part. He's a PR. He is a public speaker champion, all-time champion. This guy can handle any PR situation. He'll be at the scrums, he'll be asked a question, and he'll divert it into something else, and you won't even know that he's finessing you. Jesus Christ. Like, I promise, God damn it. Everyone was coming up with these scenarios, and oh, Sammy's gonna win the Rumble. He's not even gonna sniff the Rumble. That's not how storytelling in WWE works. So this is my victory lap, and I'm gonna take another victory lap when he wins at WrestleMania. Because this is something else that I've been saying for months. And he's the guy who's going to beat Roman. And everyone's like, come on, Warren. It's going to be Jey Uso. I'm like, motherfucker, Jey Uso at WrestleMania? Are you nuts? It's going to be The Rock, Warren. Now that The Rock is at it, well, we're going to talk about The Rock anyway. Don't worry. Don't you worry. We're going to talk about The Rock if we have time. I've already spent 10 minutes just on Cody winning the thing. Anyway, my victory laps are coming. Jay White never stood a chance. That's why he didn't come. He knows better. He did tweet out hashtag Catalyst when it happened. Anyway, let's keep going. Overall thoughts of the show here. Because I'm not going to break that. Again, let me say another little preface here. The Royal Rumble is quite possibly my favorite WWE pay-per-view. I think systematically it is. Because I enjoy the show that is the Royal Rumble match. I do. And you have to be severely out of ideas to pull a Royal Rumble 2022 where you're like, what the fuck did I just watch? This year, it was a perfect Royal Rumble. I thought it was just fine. It scratched my itch because I'm not a fan of Battle Royals. I think they're goofy. And I don't think most of the time they're not well produced. And I think, and I said this even on my preview last week, one of the qualities that the Royal Rumble has is that, generally speaking, it is the best produced Royal Rumble. It is the best produced Battle Royal out there. Systematically, every time. Because the idea is for you to see someone you like arrive at a certain moment and get in, do a spot and do some cool shit, and then we move on to something else. We move on to someone else until we get to the Final Four. And I like the guessing game of the Final Four. I like the idea of who's the Iron Man, who's the Iron Woman, who's going to have the most eliminations and all that. That shit is fun. That's fun. That's fun. So I enjoy the Rumbles overall. And I thought the men's was fine. I thought it was cool. I'm not of the oh, well, there are no surprises, really. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, this thing about there should be surprises in the Royal Rumble is a fairly new thing. And when I say fairly new, I mean maybe, you know, of course I'm old, so everything seems new to me these days. But maybe like, what, 10 years, you know, something like that. Like, Royal Rumbles weren't designed to be surprises. They were designed to have, you would always have, you know, some unexpected people join, but the idea is to put the roster over. It's to use your roster in a situation where you can tell some stories. But this, you know, I like this. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it as much as I can enjoy a Royal Rumble. You know, it's never going to be like a match of the year for me. But it's a good time, except in 2022. But we're not there anymore, so let go of it. Learn to let go. A few notes that I wrote down here. Karrion Kross got geeked the fuck out. This is a guy that was brought back to much acclaim, that stared down Roman Reigns, and he's getting geeked out. Something fierce. He's got the whole. Is Karrion Kross's gimmick that he is a 12mm film aficionado? Is that his thing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Pretty Kyle, nice to see you. I'm as handsome as your legs are smooth. How you doing? Welcome. Dominic is the last of the Judgment Day to be eliminated from the Royal Rumble. And everyone, because this is not a Warren Hayes original, there's a lot of us who share this opinion. You know, all of us who are saying that the Judgment Day is a vehicle to get Rhea Ripley over is absolutely right, is absolutely correct. And in the meantime, they're using you know, our modern day honky tonk man, which is Dominic Mysterio, person with limited wrestling ability but has just enough dislikability to be able to do something with. They're gonna use this guy until the irony runs out, because this is all irony. You know, there's going to be a moment where this gimmick will have run its course, and I don't know what the hell they're going to do with him after. But whatever they do decide, it's going to already be too much. Dominic is a puddle, and the fact that he's the last of the Judgment Day to be put over, to be tossed out of the ring, I'm like, all right. Damian Priest, you know, even Finn Balor's being a geek. Anyway, Kofi tries to do a spot, but he gets eliminated because he lands awkwardly on the chair. He wants to land on a chair, and he flips over, and then, but wait, his foot is on the armrest. Both feet didn't touch the ground. And I went back and I rerun I skipped back and I watched it, and I was like, no. He flippy-dooed around on the floor. He rolled on the floor. Both feet touched. That guy, you know, you can't run it. Thankfully, they didn't try to insist that he was indeed not eliminated, because he was absolutely eliminated. He was 100% eliminated. So thankfully that was a thing. And I know there's some discourse as to whether or not it was planned, or if he botched it or not. I think the way he landed kind of looks like a botch. Here's what I'm going to say about it. I think it should be time for Kofi Kingston to retire the Royal Rumble non-elimination spot. I think he has to. We're good. He can find something else, but I think it's time. This year, as we're mentioning in the chat, the most important thing is that he's not hurt, right? Because his head took a nasty spot. But if he got eliminated this year, wasn't that big a deal. It didn't have too many implications, as opposed to last year, where his elimination sort of got rid of a few spots that were planned with Big E. So Big E was in the Royal Rumble for a while, not doing anything. It was a bit of a cursed Royal Rumble last year. The men's was. So anyway, I think he should retire it. And it's fine. Like, it's not as if, quit while you're ahead. You know, we all have really fun, goofy memories of Kofi doing the Kofi spots, and that's fine. That was one of the things every year you're like, oh, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? Now it's just not working out anymore, and it's good. But the memories will live on. Brock Lesnar comes in, gets eliminated by Bobby Lashley. And I'm like, bold new direction. Vince is no longer in charge. No, and I mean it. Like, I thought that was a great decision. I was not expecting it. And I thought it was a great decision. And kudos to Brock for coming in, being in the Royal Rumble for 2 minutes and getting his pay. After Omos comes in, I feel there's a bit of a lull that happens. Logan Paul comes out convinced that he didn't get the reaction that they were hoping for. Nice little spot, though, despite the fact that Logan Paul is a complete and utter scumbag. Let's never forget that. Nice little spot. Sure, he picked up wrestling faster than a lot of people, and he seems to be a natural at it in any physical sports, really, but he is an utter scumbag. Okay? Just not forget that. The final four is Gunther, Seth freaking Rollins, Austin Theory, and Cody Rhodes. But, of course, they have to do, oh, we forgot this guy wasn't eliminated. They did it with Logan, who eliminates Seth. Cody eliminates Logan and Gunther. After they go into after they get into attrition, and those final few minutes, chef's kiss. That's my crowning moment. That is the best part of the entire Royal Rumble for your boy, Mr. Warren Hayes. Wrestling related, of course. No, I mean, honestly, like, first of all, I was slapping my thigh because I was like, look. Mr. American Nightmare, American Dream, red, white, and blue USA, superstar taking on the Foreigner. And I'm like, oh, is this a throwback? Is this a throwback? Is this Rocky IV? I thought this was great. But holy shit, like this ruled. Like, the final stretch of this Royal Rumble absolutely ruled. And Walter came in at number 1. So he was in there for like an hour and 17 million minutes, right? Like, he was in there for the entirety of the thing. And he's chopping the shit out of Cody, right? Cody's like, yeah, my pick is fine now. He's like, okay, we're gonna give it a test run. Clonk, clonk. Cody fights back, does a Shattered Dreams for his brother Dustin. Gunther powerbombs Cody, but Cody lands the crossroads and dips water over Gunther over the top rope for the win. So, a very efficient, well done, well executed, well planned out Royal Rumble. Because, as a Royal Rumble should do, it ends and you've got what it sets up WrestleMania matches. You've got some ideas of where we're going here, right? Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, for instance. That's, if you didn't see it before, it's crystal fucking clear now. Ray versus Dominic, right? This is something that they've been teasing at for a while. I forgot to mention in my notes, Rey Mysterio did not come out when his number was called, but then Dominic followed after, and he was holding a Rey Mysterio mask, I guess, to let us suppose that he punked his father out. Apparently, Rey was legitimately injured at SmackDown last week, so that's why he wasn't able to be in this. But I mean, that's also set up Logan Paul and Seth freaking Rollins as well, because Seth didn't quite enjoy getting eliminated by Logan Paul. And I put out this very controversial tweet. Or was it a tweet? Or did I do it in the Discord? But I did mention, it's like, right, you know, as far as a high-profile match for Seth for WrestleMania, this is it for him. Logan Paul versus Seth. People were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Look, the WWE Universe is enamored with Logan Paul. They think he's the bee's knees. He's Rookie of the Year and so on and so on. And they're clamoring for more. And he's one of these outside superstars. And, you know, again, despite the fact that I think he is a complete and utter scumbag, he is still nonetheless a valuable property for WWE. And don't get all high and mighty on me. Don't get all high and mighty on me, because how many times have you seen scumbags in pro wrestling being attractions in pro wrestling? Now, come on now. All right. But still, like, objectively speaking, for Seth, this is a big-time match for him. And it's going to be a big-time test for Logan Paul. Because you know what? Here's the thing. If Seth Rollins, being the pro that he is, like, you know, the skilled pro wrestler that he is what I'm trying to say, he could expose Logan Paul if he wanted to. You know what I mean? He could be the William Regal to Logan Paul's Goldberg if he wanted. But he's not going to do that because he's a pro. He's going to do what he has to do. Edge also showed up at the Royal Rumble, and him and Finn Balor again. Why are we still doing this? Why is that still a thing? Forgot to mention Booker T was in there too, which apparently he found out he was going to be in the Rumble while he was doing the pre-show. And now Cody Rhodes is facing Roman, and it was a good tale. It was a good story for the Rumble. And you know what I also like in all of this? I like how Cody's war against Walter didn't take away from Walter either, and established Walter as a fucking badass. The man was there from number 1 till the very end. And he was still bringing it to Cody, and Cody struggled. Cody struggled to get the win. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying, like, this is a thing. I don't know. Like, I think this works out perfectly. I think this is very good. 1 hour and 11 minutes was he in there. So now we can make sure that WWE doesn't feel pressured to talk about Chris Jericho's record anymore, right? Because they had sort of written that one off and saying Rey Mysterio was the longest. And like, no, it's Chris Jericho. But we know why you're not mentioning Chris Jericho, but it's not. So we're never going to have that discussion ever again. Gunther, 1 hour and 11 minutes. I thought it was fine. Like I said, I enjoyed the Royal Rumbles, and I think this one was spot on. It did everything it was supposed to do. Was it the greatest thing in the world? No. I thought the last few minutes were absolutely remarkable. This is what's frustrating with WWE, is that I know they can allow their guys to wrestle, and girls as well. They can go. They have the talent, because when they can give us moments like this where I'm like, this fucking rules. Why can't we have a full 15 minutes of this? But it's like, no, overproduce the house style, so on and so forth. Anyway. I'm going to say hello to King of the North, our boy Evan, member of the MrWarrenHayes Show. Nice to see you. And that led us into the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, where Bray Wyatt defeated LA Knight. And this stunk. This was bad. This was bad. I don't even know why I sit around and I'm like, well, you know what? I don't know why I try to even give these people any kind of fair shake when it comes to, well, we're going to do this. You know what? Because as we were going along, as we started crawling, like a bug that has three of its legs torn off. As we were crawling to this match week after week, and no one was talking about what the stipulations were, I was in the back of my mind and I was saying, this is trouble. This is a problem. If they're not telling us what the match is because it's going to be goofy. It's going to be just outside of the realm of anything that makes sense in wrestling, and the execution's going to be bad. And it checked all these boxes. It checked all these boxes. I'm going to tell you, if I want to go and run around and see, things being splattered around, I'm going to go to laser tag, because I don't want to sit down and watch people play laser tag, and I don't want to see people sit around and wrestle like this. And you know what? Here's the thing. You know how often I talk about WWE is a television show that is recorded live in front of a studio audience as opposed to a live show that is also recorded? I saw more than enough tweets about people in the audience who are saying, we can't see a thing about this. Tweets about people opening up grabbing their cell phones and looking at the network, turning on the network because they can't see shit of what's going on. That ultimately is extremely disrespectful to the audience right there who can't see shit for a match they paid, for a show they paid hundreds upon hundreds of dollars for, if not thousands, with the packages and whatnot, and they sit there and the lights go on and it's like, woo, all right, it's rave time. Let's grab the ecstasy, let's fucking go. Let's pull on some Paul Oakenfold. Let's put on some Plastic Man. Let's put on some old school Prodigy. What about let's play some Acid House. This shit sucks. It sucked. And here's the thing. I could forgive the goofy ass presentation if we got a wrestling match, but we did not. And this goes right, it feeds directly into every critic of Bray Wyatt out there who say he's mid, that he can't wrestle. Whatever happened there was a collection of spots. This was not a wrestling match. It was shit happening. It was shit happening. Spots. I don't know why did they hide confetti, glow in the dark confetti in the in commentary table? I don't know. I can't tell you. Why did they trim the kendo stick with with black? I don't know. I can't explain anything about this match. I can't explain the finish either. Not the finish, but the post-match angle. I don't have a problem with the post-match angle. Post-match angles are what they are. Doesn't interfere in the match. I don't give a shit. I still don't understand it. So Bray Wyatt put on another mask. I'm sure this is all lore. This is all lore. It probably makes sense to everyone, to a whole bunch of people who watch this. But me as a casual WWE viewer, which by the way, don't forget, I am the target audience for WWE, right? I'm one of the casuals. As a casual viewer of WWE, none of this made sense, and it made me mad. I was sitting there, what the fuck am I watching? After I got over the good chuckle, the good hearty belly chuckle of the lights going out and the ropes glowing in the dark and not seeing anything on LA Knight glow other than his crotch area. Other than that, Once I was done laughing, having a good belly laugh out of that, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? What is this? What am I watching? What is this? This is not entertainment. This isn't fun. It's not fun. You can't say this was fun. I've heard a lot of ways to describe this match from people who were saying positive things about it. I have yet to hear someone saying, you know what, this was pretty fun. Oh, they tried out something new. Oh, it's what a bold direction. Oh, what does this represent for the lore? Yeah, Bray Wyatt looked awesome. No one says this was fun. And do you know why? Because it wasn't. It was objectively bad. You can give them all the, you know what? If WWE was in contention for Emmys, you know, I'd nominate this for art direction. Man, I could really go for a Mountain Dew Pitch Black right now. And I think this is because he's so mad about it. This is why I think it reaches deep down into me, because it does piss me off. And I think this is what bothers me. Is that I have always been a Bray Wyatt guy. Up until this. Up until the Uncle Howdy, all this comeback stuff, where I think it's too much. But I have always enjoyed Bray Wyatt. From the moment I saw him and everything that he was doing, the fact that he came out with an entrance that was like no one else, that is not a typical pro wrestling entrance, right? With the old theme. And the Fiend stuff with the Firefly Funhouse, I thought it was just enough dosage. I thought it was great. And then, at some point, everything started tumbling apart. Things started falling apart. And we all started blaming Vince. Vince got his hands into it. I have a t-shirt. I have a Bray Wyatt t-shirt. The cartoon one with the chainsaw. I have that. The Scooby-Doo style. Hanna-Barbera. I have it. Because I liked it. I legitimately liked it. There's a video on this channel where I break down the WrestleMania Thunderdome match that he had with John Cena. Where I dig into it. I did one of those because I dug it. This, I think, is insufferable. I think it distracts from everything the reason why we watch wrestling, which is watching people wrestle. And I think that's what frustrates me, because I'm supposed to like Bray Wyatt. I'm supposed to like him. But this is it's all too much. And it distracts from everything we should be excited about for pro wrestling, and it just delivers something which is not entertaining and not a good fight. I don't know what this is. But it stunk. That's all I know. It stunk. This is a dud. Pluggo, good to see you, sir. Between Two Beards podcast, nice to see you. DGMC, nice to see you as well. I saw your super chat, by the way. We're gonna get to that. And we had the WWE Raw Women's Title match. Bianca Belair defeated Alexa Bliss. Man, I don't know what happened. Like, what was this mid card? There was nothing here. Bianca Belair is in control early on. Alexa Bliss chop blocks her, bends Bianca back, strikes by Bliss. She uses Bianca's hair and chokes Bianca Belair off the second rope. Bianca Belair messes up. There's some back and forth until Bianca KODs her, and we get the win. And then after the match, Uncle Howdy appears on screen for some lore again. This is the weird thing. Like, I don't think there was any chemistry here. I don't think it was exciting. I thought this was a low effort, low level Raw match. And frankly, and I've noticed this, I feel like ever since she's come back, I think Alexa Bliss has been mailing it in. She doesn't come across as having the bite that she used to have. I don't know if it's because she's tired about being pushed around and creative and it's coming through. Like, there's something that I don't think she's getting in wrestling anymore, because I feel she's just there and she's doing her things, but that's it. I feel like she's not providing anymore. She doesn't have the spark, and it came across here as well. This wasn't very good. This was a flat match, under 8 minutes. But you know, maybe once she gets back into the Fiend lore, maybe she'll start feeling energized again. But as it stands right now, and let's be clear here, if she's distraught and bored and you know, she doesn't have the spark anymore, I don't blame her. Her creative has been shit for years. It's been shit for a long time. You know, a prospect, a woman on that roster who should be someone that they can turn to. She has everything. She has everything that they like in their women's wrestlers. Everything. And yet here we are. And we're all shrinking. It's like, where is the mean girl Alexa? That was a lot of fun, you know. Where's that spark? Where's that energy? I don't know, man. Bianca will be moving on to bigger, better, brighter things, but whoo. Let's move on to the Women's Royal Rumble match, where Rhea Ripley defeated the Field from number 1, joining a very select crew of number 1 entrants, making it to the end. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and I'm forgetting someone. Taker? I'm forgetting someone. There's like 4 people now in the history of WWE who've done it. Hang on. Who has won the Royal Rumble from number 1? Chris Benoit. And Edge. Edge? Hang on, we gotta get some clarity on this. Not Rey Mysterio. Hang on a second. Winners from number 1. It's Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit, and Edge. It wasn't Stone Cold. Stone Cold has won the most Royal Rumbles. But we have Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit, and Edge in 2021. There we go. There we go. From the number 1 spot. So Rhea Ripley in a very select group here. Good for her. So she was able to go through the entire crew. So that's so. And I was a little worried, right? Because earlier in the Men's Royal Rumble, she got into it because the Judgment Day and Edge, they all got into a thing, and Rhea Ripley got involved. So Beth Phoenix got involved, and she spared Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley was coming out, and she was selling the injury, and I was like, there you go. There's their out. There's the goddamn out. I am so mad about this out because Rhea was the one. Rhea's the one again, I don't think there was anyone else who really was in a position to be like, no, it had to be Rhea this year. Rhea has never been this over. Do something, listen to your audience, do something that your audience wants to see. Put Rhea over in the Royal Rumble. They did. But when she came out selling the injury, I was like, oh shit, this is going to be their out. Oh, Rhea Ripley got eliminated because she got kicked in the gut and it's all Beth Phoenix's fault. So Wrestlemania, Beth Phoenix versus Rhea Ripley, which is quite frankly would have been a terrible consolation prize. Honestly. Anyway, but that's not what we're getting. Dana Brooke early on tried to break Rhea's nose, botching her whatever she does, that face plant thing that she does, and Rhea bled. I'm like, okay, enough's enough. Damage Control. Roxy, of course, from NXT is in this. A couple of NXT women here. Roxy, Indy Hartwell, which God, they got to get Indy out of NXT. She's just, they got to do that. Honestly, what a trooper to still be around that NXT stuff. Zoe Stark looked great. I like Zoe Stark. I always did. Since she came in, because she's a pro wrestler. But I don't know what kind of success she's going to have on main roster because she doesn't have the look that they want for main. I don't know if she's going to have a successful career in WWE going up on main, but Zoe Stark is a hell of a professional wrestler. Damage Control, they're taking out all sorts of people. They're working the trio, being in control. I think it's too little too late. I feel, Damage Control has been geeked out way too much. They were never established as a powerful force. It's just like, okay, now it's just happenstance. It's whenever, it's whenever there'll be a force whenever the story calls for it. Otherwise, you'll lose matches all the time and so on and so forth. We get Piper Niven. This dewdrop nonsense is done. Dewdrop. What are we doing? We got Piper Niven, who's closer to her Viper back when she was on the UK Indies. Fantastic. That is good news. That was something that made me happy. Chelsea Green makes her big return to WWE, gets geeked out. Lasts all but 3 seconds she broke a record, right? Nia Jax returns. Commentary was putting this over as if like this long regretted superstar had returned, and it was Nia Jax. She's got merch up there. She wasn't on Raw. Will she be on SmackDown? This fucking company, man. Anyway, they do the thing where everyone gangs up on her and then she does, Red! She lifts her arms and goes, blah! And then everyone flies off, that thing. This fucking company. Anyway, Final Four, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Asuka, who came back closer to her Kana persona than anything. Murder Clown, which was very nice to see. And I think Asuka needed a little bit of a refresher. I don't know how aggressive they're gonna let her be, because Asuka can be bloody violent. But that was nice. Nikki Cross is also in the final four. Nikki's eliminated by Liv. And then all three women at the end have a final sequence on the apron, which was really good. It was a good final sequence. Worked really hard and it was dramatic. Asuka missed Liv, who gets eliminated. And then Asuka gets eliminated despite missing Liv. And Rhea eliminates Liv. Of course, they used to be tag team partners and buds and all of that stuff, right? So, I thought this was just fine. It was fun. It was all right. It's a Royal Rumble. I think it was less effective than the men in setting up matches down the line for WrestleMania. You know, I love how commentary tried to put over, here's a dream match between Tamina and Raquel Gonzalez. I'm like, what? No. Who? What dream match? But Raquel and Tamina? Come on now. No, stop now. Stop. But, you know, outside of, you know, continuing the Bayley-Becky feud, Becky doesn't have any friends. I don't know if you've noticed. She has 0 friends, but I get what they're doing, right? They're doing the Stone Cold, you know, don't trust anyone, loner thing. I get it, you know, but I feel like Babyface has no friends is, it's a little tired and it doesn't make sense. Becky has to have at least a friend. She has to have at least one, right? You could use this to put someone over, you know? But, yeah, you know, it's, I don't know, man. I don't think it was as effective because it hasn't established many matches for WrestleMania. Now, clearly, we're doing a an elimination chamber for the women at Elimination Chamber to get Bianca's challenger, excuse me, at WrestleMania because Rhea has challenged Charlotte. Let me speak on that for a second. I don't think that was the match. I thought the match was Rhea Ripley and Bianca because those are your 2 hot young prospects from right now who are going to have to do the heavy lifting. Once your 4 horsewomen are all gone, you already lost 1. There's 3 more to go. They're not going to be doing this forever, and they can't always be at the top because people are going to get bored. That was already a situation. So I think this is a miss. Now you can pull out the history, and I understand it. I get it. Rhea talked about it, and I appreciate that they're leaning into that history that they had a couple of years ago at WrestleMania to rekindle this feud, but I still think it's a miss. I still think that's not the match. I still don't think that's the match. The match would have been Rhea versus Bianca. That would have been one with tons of heat. Because here's the thing that they're risking to do. This is the thing that they're risking again. For some bizarre reason, for some wacky, wild booking decision here, they've decided to make Charlotte a babyface again. For some reason, they're thinking this is the path we should go. And now they're throwing Rhea in here, who is over. People really like Rhea. What do you think is going to happen here? Hopefully they'll have their ear to the ground and will be ready to react when the audience inevitably turns on Charlotte. I think it is inevitable. I'm just saying. I think they're running. This is a gamble they're pulling here. But yeah, women's Royal Rumble again. Royal Rumble match is fine. Thought it could have been used to put more people over. Get more interesting matches set up. Even if it's not for WrestleMania, set them up for the road to WrestleMania, right? Anywho. WWE Undisputed Universal title. Roman Reigns successfully retained, defeating Kevin Owens in the main event. Kevin Owens gets in control early on in this match, lands a cannonball on the floor, senton by KO, but Roman fights back. He lands the drive-by and a Liger bomb. Superman punch lands, but Kevin Owens sidesteps a spear, hits a swanton. Now there's this spot where Kevin Owens whiffs a springboard moonsault probably and lands on Roman Reigns, who was ducking out of the way, who was rolling out of the moonsault's way, right? Which was the planned spot, but Kevin slips and lands on Roman. But you know what? This was really, really well recuperated, because then Kevin was like, okay, he instead of going back and trying to move, he gets Roman back into position, hits a senton, then goes back to the ropes and does a straight up moonsault, right? Safer to execute. He's not going to goof it off. So he recuperated the botch, did the spot again because they needed to continue that spot to continue the flow of the match, because that's how WWE matches are produced. And I think that was done perfectly by both guys. And I think, you know, if anything, that's what happens when you have pros like that. Guys who have been up and down and have wrestled in any type of environment and have had any kind of surprises happen to them. You have a guy like Kevin Owens who's like, no big deal. Senton, let's try it again, but a different way. And it worked. Sure, it would have been nice if the springboard moonsault had worked, but it didn't. What are you going to do? So he goes for the moonsault, and then Roman Reigns rolls out of the way as planned. KO eats a spear, but kicks out of the pin attempt. We get a ref bump, a pop-up power bomb by Kevin, followed by a low blow by Roman Reigns, and then the shenanigans get started, where Sami is ordered to get a chair. He hesitates to give it, and he's like, I don't know where the chairs are. And I'm like, well, okay, what's going on here? It allows Kevin Owens to hit a stunner on Roman. Roman kicks out of the pin attempt. Superman punch, spear. Kevin Owens once again kicks out. Kevin Owens is on the floor. Sami Zayn tells him to stay down. Why don't you stay down? This is a callback to their multiple matches where Kevin Owens, and they say that to each other all the time. Why won't you stay down? Then we get the spear through the barricade spot. No big surprise there. And very violent. Probably the most violent thing I saw the entire show, where Roman Reigns slams Kevin Owens back first onto the stairs, like literally on the stairs. And Owens' head sort of snaps back, and he does it again. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here going, oh, no, this ruled. Gets him in the ring, hits the spear, gets the win. Now, before we get into the rest, I want to make something clear here. I thought this was a well-worked, hard-worked match. It was lacking a gear. I don't think it was all that fantastic. Good work, not great. Good time, but an entirely forgettable match. Which is weird, because Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns have better chemistry than this. Maybe they were saving all the emotion for the angle at the end. But at this point, I think back to their other matches that they had and was like, well, they were much better than this. I was expecting more out of this match than what we got. It was, again, like I said, nothing against the work. I think it was there, but that's the thing, it was there. It's as if, hey, let's get through this match so we can get to the important part, right? So now let's talk about it. Look, I am thrilled to the gills that all of the Bloodline stuff happened post-match. I could not be giddier. I could not be more pleased. That, friends, is good news to me. Because if you recall my Survivor Series review, I absolutely hated the main event because they could not keep the fucking nonsense out of the match. I mean, it completely burned the match for me. Took me out of it completely. But here, post-match angle, let's fucking go. And they took their sweet time with this. Now, again, you guys know the bloodline stuff, it's not for me. I recognize that it is something that WWE fans adore, enjoy. But I think it's the same story they've been telling since the inception. It's always been, who is not on board with the bloodline? Who does Roman not trust? At first it was Jay, then it was Jimmy, then it was Jay again, then it was Sammy, and it's been Sammy since July, where Sammy is constantly proving himself. Wasn't the whole deal with the Survivor Series finish was Sammy having to prove himself, right? Wasn't that the deal? Wasn't that the thing? And the trial sort of proved it, because all the stuff that Paul Heyman pulled out was like, well, Sammy did this months ago. Yeah, but Sammy is supposed to have atoned for this since then. Like, the bloodline is really a story where the same wheel is being spun all the time, and for some reason people don't realize it. But I think they don't realize it because I think this passes for good storytelling in wrestling, when in fact it's the same thing being recycled over and over again. It's been well executed. It's been well put together. The drama is there, but the story hasn't evolved. It hasn't changed. It's still, which guy does Roman not trust? It's always been the thing, and now we're still doing it with Sammy. Anyway, I thought the angle was good. I thought it was well done. Like I said, they did it post-match. That is that right there, right then and there, that's a win in the WarrenHayes column. It was a little drawn out. I don't think it needed to be that long, but oh my fucking God. That chair shot that Sammy gave Roman was one of the loudest reactions I've heard from a World Wrestling Entertainment crowd in a while. And you know what? It works. And I can't sit here and bitch and tell you that it's not working, because it is. And anyone who says that it's not working is in bad faith. Even though it's not for me, even though I don't care for it, even though I look at it and I'm like, this is the same thing that's being told over and over and over again. There is no denying that this angle worked and has been built to this spot to get what? To get a huge reaction from the crowd. And they got their huge reaction from the crowd. And Sammy is over. Sammy is over like crazy. He's never been this over in the company. Never, ever, ever. Not even in NXT. And that's what you do it for. That's what you do it for. The WWE fans, the universe, they love it. They're into it. And I can appreciate it. And I understand why. I understand the mechanics of why this is successful for them. And I'm glad that WWE is doing something that is connecting and resonating with their fan base. And the fact that they're into this is what will make this Royal Rumble feel special for them. This is why Royal Rumble 2022 will be talked about and remembered by WWE fans, because of this final moment. And I'm okay with that. And anyone should be okay with it. This is what you want. This is why you do this kind of stuff. You want these reactions. You want people to get up out of their seats and get invested in your company. And, they're telling a good story, apparently. One that's working. Again, it's working with the audience, with their core audience. And what more do you want? So, all in all, if I were to wrap this analysis up, the one thing that I will say that intrigues me, legitimately, and not just like on a speaking removed from something. I'm like, okay. The one thing that I think that intrigues me is the Jey Uso situation. That's something that I'm going to be like, okay, I'm curious to see what is going to happen next here. Because I was not expecting Jey to bail. Very interesting little wrinkle here that I did not see coming. I saw the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn thing happening. I saw the bloodline falling apart. I called it, but I didn't think it'd fall apart like this. It's going to fall apart at WrestleMania officially. I did not see that coming. The Jey Uso thing, did not see that coming. Not even for a minute. It's good. That's a good wrinkle. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. But, personally, I have trouble gushing over this because, again, like I said, I look at this and I don't see the same things as other people are seeing in this. I can appreciate that the angle is well put together and well produced for WWE fans, and WWE fans are really excited about it. And it got a huge reaction, and that's fucking amazing. That's what you want with wrestling, right? But I want that kind of reaction with matches. That's why I watch wrestling. You know what I mean? Anyway, as I said, if I wrap up my analysis of the Royal Rumble 2022, this wasn't a good wrestling show. Okay, it's nothing extraordinary. In fact, there were some bad matches on the show. I would say fun to bad. This is not a good wrestling show. This is not something that you're going to go back and look at fondly for the action, where you're going to be like, hey, there was this, there's not enough good stuff here to go and say, yeah, recommend it. There's the final four of the Royal Rumble, of the men's Royal Rumble, which was bananas, especially when we were ended up with Cody and Walter. That was just extraordinary stuff, like top tier stuff. But the rest is all passable. It's all stuff. If you're into the angle, and again, here's the thing. The Royal Rumble 2023 will be remembered fondly by WWE fans because of the final moments, which, I cannot dispute, inarguably were special. They had built to this moment and it was executed perfectly. There's nothing bad I can say about that final angle of the show. But it's window dressing. It's not something you sit down and rewatch. If you like pro wrestling, if you're like moi, this isn't it. This ain't it at all. It's going to be one that you skip. But, the Royal Rumble matches, like I said, the reason I watch, and I think this is the way they're approached, it's a festivity. It's a party. Everyone getting together to do some cool shit and, set the pace for WrestleMania. That's what this is. It's a kickoff point. It's a reset. It's New Year's Dash in New Japan. This is what it is. I thought the Royal Rumble matches were fine. I enjoyed them. It's not even comparable to 2022 because last year it was just a bad show. This is not a bad show, but it's not good either. But this is the kicker, right? Is that there's a lot of WWE fans who thought the matches were disappointing because there weren't any surprises in the Royal Rumble matches, right? And this is what I keep telling you about the WWE Universe. They're concerned about surprises and big jolts of energy. The WWE Universe pops for entrances. They pop for the catchphrases. They'll have very specific wrestlers that, that once they start juicing it up for wrestling, they'll get excited. But those are exceptions, right? Until the last minute, people were waiting for The Rock. Hell, there's still people saying, oh, they're just throwing it off. They're throwing us off the scent. They're just reporting this. They're saying these things to throw us off the scent. He's going to show up at WrestleMania, because WWE fans, that's what they want. They don't want the matches. They want the moments. And this is a perfect Rumble to encapsulate that because it will be spoken of fondly for years, despite this being a very mid-card. Like I said, there's some fine matches here, but there are also some bad matches. Bad. Everyone leaving the Royal Rumble saying, on top of that, saying Sami should be the guy. Despite the fact that Sami went on Ariel Helwani's show to say to people, don't expect it. He literally told people, don't get your hopes up. I'm not the guy. And he's not the guy. We were talking about this with the members podcast on Friday because we were discussing this. This was a point in the Observer this week. So we were discussing it with the members. You should become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show to have these discussions together. And join us on these streams. Sami doesn't check all the boxes. He despite being over like crazy, and despite these bookers, these promoters, while they should be listening to their audience and reacting to what the audience wants, Sami is not what they want. We're right back in a Daniel Bryan situation here. No question about it. But Sami's like, I honestly, I don't give a shit. Like, as opposed to Bryan Danielson, who was like, no, I want to be world champion in this fucking company. What are you talking about? I'm over like crazy. I'm making you guys money. Sami outright said, it's not going to be me. So stop. Don't get your hopes up. He said that. And yet people are like, this should be the match at WrestleMania, not Cody versus It's not going to happen. It's going to happen in Montreal because it makes sense for it to happen in Montreal because Sami is from Montreal. Sami is going to have the reception of a lifetime at an Elimination Chamber in February. He's going to be, he is going to be able to eat for free in that city for the rest of his life moving forward. But he doesn't check the boxes. This is not what they want. They want someone who is presentable, who looks like a champion, who is who can do the PR game, who can sweet talk and finesse his way out of any questions. And they want Cody. Cody is the man to do it. And they announced that it's Roman and Cody at WrestleMania. They announced that they made the match last night on Raw. It's done. I've been saying for a while, the match with the Usos versus Sami and KO is the match because the real gravitas of this bloodline thing is the relationship between Jay and Sami, and this is what they're going to drive home in the next few weeks, where Jay is going to have to come to grips with the fact that he's been betrayed and his feelings are hurt. And he's going to have to choose between family and this, or what are you going to do? Are you going to do the right thing? You're going to pick your family, and all that shit. That's probably what's going to happen. I hope at this point, everyone, look, I'm the greatest D-list podcast with the A+ audience. I think at this point, I'm going to take a mini victory lap again. Everyone should start listening to me. I've been saying it since WrestleMania last year. Cody's the guy. The whole fucking live tour to WrestleMania has his face on it, has his neck tattoo all over it. They wouldn't do this if they didn't think he was the guy. I don't know what to tell you. They're going to have to be real careful because people could turn on Cody. They're just going to have to be careful. But listen, the Royal Rumble ended on a spectacularly high note on a storyline that resonates with WWE fans. So they forget everything else that happened on the show. The fans will dismiss the wrestling and will tell me that final angle. And it was great, don't get me wrong, but they'll be like, that final angle, man, that was amazing. And WWE fans latch on to things that are great and that get applause and that are objectively good, and they push it real hard. They push it hard because I think deep down inside, I think they know the product isn't up to par with what's happening on everywhere else in the world. I think they do. The in-ring product. And everyone starts talking about matches, all they have to fall upon is stories. And when the stories stink, which is most of the time in WWE, when the stories are terrible, the only thing that they can latch on to is whenever something works. It's like, or when suddenly out of nowhere you get a really fucking great match, like Walter versus Sheamus at Clash of the Castle. It was on my top 10 matches of the year. I think it was like number 7, number 6. It was my highest rated WWE match of the year. It was extraordinary. What did I hear throughout? It's a match of the year. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. I'm like, look, it's an absolute match of the year. It's a banger. But frankly, I've seen better matches than that. But I'm not dismissing that this is a match of the year. But then they just clap on. They claps on to anything that is really good because I think they know that overall, deep down inside, the product is mid. What a very generous super chat by DGMC here. But that was my look. That was my Royal Rumble and review, analysis, thoughts. It's ultimately, if it were not for that final angle, this would be an absolutely forgettable show. One that we just put away. We like, all right, it happened. It's fine. It's mid. Not outright terrible, but not good. Since we're on the subject of WWE, WrestleMania, we're talking about all of that, and all that. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt and talk over the past few days, about the presence of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who were being rumored to be at the big show and so on and so forth. And there's been a lot of reports popping out right and left from newsletters, news sites, Fightful and The Observer, and everyone's been sort of saying, oh, The Rock doesn't seem to be ready, doesn't seem to, and like I said a few minutes ago, like people were like, oh, but they're just saying that to throw us off the scent. They're going to be there. They're going to be there. The more things are looking, the more things are probably turning out to no, they're not going to be there. Either of them. Neither Stone Cold, neither Dwayne. And this has been compounded this morning, today, by one David Meltzer, young upstart wrestling journalism, who was on Wrestling Observer Radio this morning talking about exactly that, exactly about Stone Cold and The Rock. And he straight out said that it doesn't appear that Stone Cold Steve Austin will be in action at WrestleMania 39. He provided an update on Austin's WrestleMania status. Meltzer stated that while Austin was offered matches for WrestleMania, Austin had turned down wrestling at the event. And this is his quote from The Observer. Quote. As far as Austin goes, Steve might be at the show. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. He might do something on the show, but he did in fact turn down wrestling at the show. He was offered Brock Lesnar. He was offered Roman Reigns. He could have named his opponent if he wanted to do it with anyone else, but he did not choose to wrestle on the show. Meltzer added that it's a situation that's similar regarding Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. Says Johnson didn't feel he had the time to get into the type of shape he would have needed to be in for a WrestleMania caliber main event this year. Meltzer said he opened the door. The door was left open for The Rock to wrestle at WrestleMania in 2024. And we talked, the Rock stuff is not new, but I think we're getting to a point where it's like we have to stop hoping for this. And if it does happen, well, fantastic. We'll be all surprised. And isn't that what WWE fans want? They want to be surprised. The point here for The Rock, first and foremost, because I've said, what do you mean he's not in shape? He's huge. He's jacked. Well, just, arm days doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to fight in a wrestling ring, right? You need the total package. You need to have been lifting. You need to, your cardio has to be up to speed. Your fucking moves, man. You got to rehearse this. You got to train. You just don't jump back in and be like, okay, let's go. That's not how wrestling works. The so you know, I think on that front, The Rock is just I think he's cooked. Now he wants to. The door is open for next year, but how far longer can The Rock go? He's 50? He's 50 and he hasn't wrestled in a while. Now listen, we have precedent of wrestlers who haven't wrestled in a long time being in their 50s, in their 60s, and coming back out of nowhere and then pulling some stuff off, and you're like, wow, okay, these guys shouldn't be able to go like this at their age. So we don't know. Maybe he's one of those. No, but if we, you know, on the flip side of things, if you think of a guy like Sting, right? Sting hasn't had a singles match in AEW, and there's a reason for that. You know, I don't think he can necessarily carry a match like that. I think he wants to end up just you know, they do the tag team stuff, and that's fine. You know, he doesn't have to carry the entire match, and he can pick his spots and do some crazy shit, and everyone will go nuts. But he doesn't have to work 15 minutes, for instance. I think that's fine. Maybe this is something they can do with The Rock next year. Maybe The Rock just doesn't want to do anything with WWE as long as Vince is around too. Because I posited this a couple of weeks ago, or on a recent show. Maybe it was last week even. Maybe The Rock doesn't want to be around here, any of the Hollywood guys, or Cena, or with Vince back in the picture. Because Vince is a liability. Vince, you know, the Hollywood guys, the guys who are Hollywood now, they're all playing on a different field. They're playing on, you know, completely different sport at this point. One that will tear them down if they're, you know, if this starts to spread that, oh, wait, they're working for Vince McMahon, who has multiple sexual assault allegations pinned against him, and he's doing all this bullshit. And yeah, maybe they don't want to go back and be associated with this and risk their career. The Rock, for the whole, you know, for the Black Adam stuff, Black Adam turned out to not be a successful enterprise for Warner Bros. Discover Bros. In the aftermath of that, we see the DCU being torn down, right? From you know, bunch of stuff being canceled and things being rewritten, and Zack Snyder being pushed out, and James Gunn being brought in, and all this reimagining of stuff, and you know, we're gonna do some new shit, and The Rock was pushed out as well. You know, The Rock was tossed out of this too. So I'm thinking of all of this, you know, and I'm scratching my head, and I'm wondering, maybe, you know, he got a taste of bad publicity here, because there were hit pieces put out there. There was shit leaked to the trades about, you know, Dwayne, you know, under promising things he never delivered, and, you know, being difficult and so on and so forth. He's had a bit of a rough go as far as bad publicity recently. Maybe he doesn't want to touch that again. Maybe he doesn't want to poke the bear. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. So maybe there's that factors into all of this. But look, this is going to be the talk. This is going to be the talk into WrestleMania season next year. We're not done with The Rock. As far as Stone Cold goes, and again, here's the important part. We're both talking about wrestling in both of these guys' cases. That doesn't mean that The Rock won't show up. And we gotta latch on to the words that are being used here. Neither guy is expected to wrestle at WrestleMania. It doesn't mean he won't show up. Well, it doesn't mean Dwayne won't show up. Doesn't mean Steve won't show up either. But Steve doesn't want to wrestle. And I'm wondering, Steve is not as Hollywood as the other guys are. You know, the other guys being Cena, Dwayne, Batista. I would suspect Batista is completely done with wrestling, by the way. But I'm looking at all of this. I'm looking at Steve Austin coming in. I'm like, maybe he understands more about his legacy than a lot of his peers do. He looks at his WrestleMania match from last year where everyone had nothing but praise for it. Just a fun brawl, tossing Kevin Owens around, a fun moment, a great way to finish off night one of WrestleMania last year, having Austin just having a great brawl. And maybe he's like, you know what? I'm going out on that high. This is how anything else I could be risking it, but this is a perfect encapsulation. Maybe more like, okay, we're done. We're good, kind of thing. I'm like, it could be. He could just be sitting around going, you know what? Trips, you could be offering all the money you want. I don't want to wrestle. Because what I did, my final match with Kevin Owens, if that's how I go out, that's perfect. Because he's seen some of his peers not having that type of luck, having that great final match. He's no fucking dummy, and he's a pro wrestler before anything else. So maybe he's just like, well, yeah, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Wouldn't be surprised at all. It would actually be really smart of him to do that. Makes me happy if that's his thoughts. Again, there's no reason for him to not show up. He can show up. He can do an angle. He can do a little beer throwing party. That's fine. It's WrestleMania. This news disappointed a lot of people. But what are you going to do? It disappointed a lot of people, but the thing is that I on one hand I'm like, this is fine because we should be putting more emphasis on the current roster regardless. And WWE fans need to learn to let go of the past. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, it is WrestleMania. WrestleMania is not about wrestling matches. It's about moments, events. It's the spectacle. So you want to have the hot crowd. You want to have people reacting. You want to have people saying, my God, what a great memory. This is what WrestleMania is about. So I can understand why a lot of people are disappointed by it and why it, maybe it bops WrestleMania on the chin just a little bit. And they're like, well, we can't give you another Stone Cold match, Funny they didn't secure CM Punk. Or did they? Before I preview the NXT card this weekend, we did get some surprising news today coming out of the weekend, not the weekend, but coming out of GCW today. That was Game Changer Wrestling announcing that Kota Ibushi was coming to the Collective this WrestleMania weekend. So Kota Ibushi is going to be at the Collective WrestleMania weekend just very shortly. So he's probably going to be wrestling all over the place. It was since confirmed by New Japan Pro Wrestling that Kota Ibushi's contract is officially expired and it has not been renewed. They wish him the best, so on and so forth. So Kota Ibushi back to being a freelancer, doing what he does best, just going around, popping up everywhere and wrestling matches. So he had said, promise is a strong word. He had said he wanted to do a documentary on everything that happened in his New Japan tenure in the last few months where, things had gone sour and, how pissed off everyone was at him. He was at everyone and so on and so forth. I don't know if that's ever going to show up. I know there were people trying to talk him out of doing it. Because this could easily be something where he could not only just be a problem to himself, but he could easily burn bridges where he didn't realize bridges existed. You know what I mean? So he hasn't mentioned it, he hasn't talked about it, but he's officially a free man as of today. So showing up for the GCW card was like, okay, here we fucking go. And he's going to do, for the collective, he's been announced to be on the Bloodsport show, which is, he is going to hurt someone so bad. Someone's going to get fucked up. And he's doing Janela's Spring Break show. That's what's been announced for now. He'll probably be taking other bookings. And that means that in March, he's going to be in North America. So who knows what's going to happen, right? All very interesting stuff. I find it interesting. If we put on our tinfoil hat all of a sudden, Kota Ibushi is released from New Japan. His contract is not renewed. And then suddenly, Kenny Omega's visa issues for re-entering the country have been settled. That's isn't that interesting? Yeah, no, we're just being. That's a tinfoil thing, but although it could be proven to be true, but still, look, Kota Ibushi signing a contract with New Japan a couple of years ago was a shock to everyone because this is a guy who never wanted a contract. He didn't want to be buckled down somewhere, right? The legendary story is that he was offered a contract in WWE, but he outright refused. Said, no, I'll work for you, but not with a contract. And said, well, you're not going to work for us if you don't have a contract. I said, all right, we're not working together. Just as simple as that. Kota Ibushi is, he's a unique guy. He's a bit of an oddball in a very, very charming, delightful way. He's always done things his own way. He's to the beat of his own drum, right? So I'm, never formally trained in any dojo. He just went out there. He's like, look, I'm just gonna wrestle. I'm gonna be a fucking great wrestler, and you're gonna want to hire me, and I'm gonna make money like this, and that's what he's been doing. So he's going to be back to being Kota Ibushi. He's just going to be back to being whoever the hell he wants to be, wrestling wherever he wants, with whoever he wants, against whoever he wants. And he's starting with GCW. Apparently they're getting him first. Well, now, bring him into North America. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, he's a free man. And, if you've been listening to the MrWarrenHayes show, for the past few months, this should come as no surprise. We all knew his contract was running up, that it would not be renewed. So that's why I'm not like sitting here and, going, breaking news. This is the biggest news of the day. Kota Ibushi. No, we saw this coming. We knew this was coming. Had the opposite, had a 12-hour contract negotiation happen and he had decided to sign, had happened, that would have been big news. But now it's just confirmed. Big news is that he's hitting North America up. He's going to be at the collective. Brett Lauderdale has to be happy. Those shows are going to be sold out. It's going to be. And here's the cool thing. If you are a Fight Plus member, like your boy, all of the collective shit is included in that. It's not even no extra bucks to shell out. What a fucking bargain. There's no point in going anywhere Wrestlemania weekend. I'm going to be at home. I'm just going to be at home. I'm going to be at home and I'm not leaving the house. And I don't know who's going to do the laundry. I don't know who's going to wash dishes. There's too much wrestling. There'll be too much wrestling. All right, let's wrap up this shindig with a preview of NXT Vengeance Day. It's just happening this weekend, February 4th, from the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Spectrum Center is we're going back to basketball arenas. Don't call it a takeover, but we're heading back to basketball arenas. The NBA's Bobcats. The Charlotte Bobcats? Is that a team? I didn't even know. What happened to the Hornets? This is how disconnected I've been from the NBA, and you know what's happened to the Charlotte Hornets. Oh no, they're still there. Why the Bobcats? What's the NBA's Bobcats? The Charlotte Hornets still exist, right? Yeah, of course they do. And the AHL's Checkers. So it's a basketball arena. We'll see what kind of business that does. This is the first NXT 2.0 stadium show. Not stadium, arena show, excuse me. Because everything has been happening within the vault, the warehouse. The CWC, did they still call it that? No, they probably don't, right? The Capital Wrestling Center, they probably don't call it that anymore, right? As you may know, I am a casual viewer of WWE's product. So, you know, since I am their target audience, I will be able to speak with with aplomb here. And, you know, excited to see what is going to happen moving forward. First of all, we're going to have a NXT Tag Team title Fatal 4-Way match where champions The New Day will be taking on Pretty Deadly versus the Gallus team of Mark Coffey and Wolfgang versus a yet-to-be-determined team that is probably being determined as we speak right now on NXT because I'm recording on a Tuesday night. I mean, this is a way to get the titles off The New Day, I guess. Have they done really anything interesting in NXT? Have they been needleable? Because look, I'll tell you one thing. I enjoyed the previous pay-per-view, which was not Halloween Havoc. I thought it stunk. What was the other one? The one after that. I can't remember. But that they had the Pretty Deadly deadline, the countdown stuff with the fun new stip match, right? The New Day and Pretty Deadly had a fun match on that. I enjoyed it, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I haven't seen Gallus wrestle since NXT UK. I don't know who the last team was, but this is clearly a setup for the New Day to lose the titles, right? So look, I don't know what to expect out of this match outside of the New Day losing the titles. Carmelo Hayes takes on Apollo Crews in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. I hate this straight off the gate because this is going to be what, a 15-minute best 2 out of 3 falls match. Come on now. You remember a couple of years ago on Raw when they'd cut to commercial, they'd have 2 out of 3 falls matches all the time, every Monday, so that they could cut to commercial between falls. Remember that? And then we get this sprint of terrible 2 out of 3 falls matches. This is what it's hearkening back to me here. Like Apollo Crews, Carmelo Hayes, mid-card feud, best 2 out of 3 falls. It's going to be a 15-minute affair. This makes no sense. I hate it already. And Jesus Christ, get Carmelo Hayes out of there. He has to win this, right? He has to win it. It's not as if Apollo Crews is this hot prospect anymore. He's been burned terribly. There's nothing that comes out of Apollo Crews that generates any interest or any aspiration that, oh, well, finally this might be his moment. There have been a dozen, oh, this might be his moments for Apollo Crews, and they all fell apart. Not necessarily on him. I think he's a talented wrestler. I think he's been the victim of bad booking. I think he's been assassinated. His character has been assassinated because of the terrible shit booking that just makes it that Apollo Crews is extremely difficult to care about. It's not because he's not talented, because well, who cares? This is a sign of nothing. Is this supposed to be meaningful for Carmelo Hayes? I don't know what the build is here. And I look at this and I'm like, all right, whatever. 2 out of 3 falls, Crews, Hayes. Carmelo will probably wow us, and that's what I'm expecting. Carmelo Hayes should win. And we have the NXT Women's Tag Team title match. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are taking on Fallon Henley and Kiana James. I'm sure there's some deep lore here to make this all make sense. Here's one thing that I'm surprised. Katana Chance and Lacey Lane, Kaden Carter. They've had the belts for 183 days. They've had them longer than Toxic Attraction had during their run. Well, okay, so at least they've been defending. Have they been defending? Yeah, they've been defending the titles. Like, it's not as if it's not like the Toxic Attraction run when they had the titles. They had the titles for 150 some days, but they had like 3 defenses. See, they had 2 defenses. They lost on the second. They had the titles for like half a year. You know, they have 5 defenses under their belts. Ha. Yeah, I don't know. Fallon Henley, Kiana James, are those the wannabe porn stars? Is that not the wannabe porn stars, but the people that are in skits that are shot like porn skits? That's the thing, right? I'm excited to see how Kaden Carter and Katana Chance and Fallon Henley and Kiana James have progressed in WWE's developmental system. How about that? North American title match. No gimmicks, no ladders, no nothing. Thank God. Wes Lee defends against Dominic Dijak. Apparently he's just called Dijak. That's great. And this should rule. And I'm excited to watch Dominic Dijak wrestle in a big time match again. I think this is going to deliver. I think this will be the best match of the show. I'm excited. This is one that I'm like, yeah, all right. This should be good. This should be great, actually. Good contrast in styles. And Dijak does good in those types of situations. And this is a guy who has been, whose career has stalled because of shit creative and shit booking. And I wish people would recognize that more. Because this guy is amazing. And by no fault of his own. You know, this great place where they have great creative and great stories for everyone. And this guy's career is on a standstill because of this. Yeah, this is the match that I am most looking forward to on this entire card. NXT Women's Title Triple Threat. This is the match I'm curious to see how things are going with Roxanne Perez, the champion, the NXT Women's Champion, fighting, putting her title on the line against Toxic Attraction, or at least what's left of it, Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne. Jacy Jayne has been on an upswing. She has been improving tremendously. So that I'm excited to see just how far this has gone. I've always liked Priscilla, Gigi. So I think the story here is that they've been teasing Toxic Attraction splitting up, but not really. They've been like swerving. I'm ready to see some. I'm ready to see Roxanne go here. I'm very, very curious to see how Jacy Jayne comes out here, because she just might be out of the Toxic Attraction dissolution breakup. I don't know what else you want to call it. She might be the one who actually survives it the best out of all 3. Well, of course, Mandy, hit the bricks, but she's a good prospect. Roxanne is great. So this should be fun. I'm very curious to see how this match is going to turn out. And then in the main event, Steel Cage, Braun Breaker, the champion, will be defending his NXT title against Grayson Waller. It is time to take the title off of Braun. It is time to put it on Grayson Waller. I became a Grayson Waller guy at the Deadline show. He made that match. He was a perfect heel. He is head over heels. He was head over heels anyone else in that match. He is a fantastic wrestler, a great personality, full of charisma. He's a fantastic heel. The Braun Breaker experiment did not work, if you ask me. I think everyone was real excited at first because of his look, because of who he was, because of his energy, but I don't think it's ever translated in the ring. And people who watch NXT and who I talk with in that regard, tell me, no, it doesn't. You're right, Warren, it doesn't translate in the ring. We watch the show every week and there's a disconnect. There's just something that's not there. And, on top of that, look, if you want to talk a little business here, Braun Breaker has not been, the ratings grabber. He hasn't been generating business. I don't see people spilling over the streets with, in the arenas with Braun Breaker merch either. I'm not saying that Grayson Waller is going to flip the switch on all the on all those fronts, but this one thing with this one guy is not working out, so maybe we should just shift over to another guy and try that out. And I think Waller is fantastic on top of it. Like, Waller is much more of a total package than Breaker is. And I think, how long has Braun Breaker had this title? Let's take a look here. Let's have a little look-see. He has had the NXT Championship for 303 days. And this is his second reign. Right? Yeah, it's his second reign. Like, he has had this title for a total, as of today, as of this recording, 366 days. We're good, I think. I don't know why anyone thought that this was he's not the guy, not yet. But look, everyone tells me, it's developmental, Warren, don't be too hard. Well, okay. I'm not going to be too hard. But, right now he's not doing anything for the brand on a business aspect. He's not driving anything. And I think he's flat. I think his connection with the audience is manufactured, if anything else. Like, he just had support from creative. This is the guy. This is the guy we're pushing. Okay. Grayson Waller's next. I think Grayson Waller is going to be much more interesting. I mean, this is what they should do, right? This is what they have to do. They have to have Waller have his moment. He has a fantastic showing all the time. So yeah, I'll be checking that out this weekend. And then on top of that, there's some New Japan shows happening this weekend. We've got the New Beginning and Sapporo shows that are taking place. Without breaking down the entire card, there's 2 nights. Night 1, the top 3 matches. We got an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team match. Catch 2-2, the Francesco Akira and TJP combo. The champions will be taking on Dookie and Yoshinobu Kanemaru from Just 4 Guys. I don't know if you saw the released merch for the Just 4 Guys, and the t-shirt when is really written Just and the 4 and Guys, and I'm like, and I burst out laughing when I saw it because, again, like, they didn't think this one through. So, oh, we're just 4 guys. Yeah, but you're just 4 guys. Like, I don't think anyone is expecting, I don't think anyone is expecting gay icon Yoshinobu Kanemaru to come out of this. You know what I'm saying? We are also getting Taichi versus Will Ospreay, which should be a blast. This will be Ospreay's first big singles match since Wrestle Kingdom. Taichi's going to step up. This is going to be sneaky good. And the main event is Shota Umino versus Tetsuya Naito, continuing to consecrate the the push of Shota Umino into that upper stratosphere of wrestlers in New Japan. Of course, this is all happening in Sapporo, of course, at the Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Center. That's on Saturday on the 4th. Then on the 5th, night 2, the matches that interest us here are Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi defending the IWGP Tag Team titles against the TMDK combo of Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they strap the belts to Nichols and Haste. I think Gato wants the TMDK boys to get a push. I think they want to be established as a strong faction. Of course, Zack Sabre Jr. is currently the World Television Champion. I think it makes sense. Should be fun. Should be fun. You know, I know there's a lot of people who are really high on Bishamon, on Goto and Yoshihashi, and they're a fine little tag team, but I am not as excited. I'm not as hyped on them as a lot of folks are. Let's try some new stuff. Like, this feels like a new fresh start for New Japan. Then let's go with TMDK. Let's try some stuff out, right? Speaking of TMDK, the New Japan World Television Championship is going to be on the line. Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be defending against Tomohiro Ishii, and this is going to be great. There's no two ways about it. It's going to be great. It's just going to be great. Zack is being positioned as a top guy in the company. Tomohiro Ishii is one of the greatest to ever. He's going to be remembered as one of the best pro wrestlers to ever do it, because this guy has elevated so many people and has been the crucial component in so many great matches with great wrestlers, guys who have in many aspects transcended him, but he has always been this stalwart, fucking great pro wrestler. He's in his mid-40s and he can still go. This is going to rule. And the main event, Hiromu Takahashi will be defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title against Yo. I don't see a title change happening here. I see more of Yo being excellent, though. Again, I can't hammer this home enough how insane it is to me that 3 years ago we were clamoring for the Show singles run back when they were a team, where 3 years later Show is in the mud doing fucking House of Torture nonsense and just dragging his career, whereas Yo is having a resurgence. Had a fantastic Super Junior Tag League with Lio Rush, feels reinvigorated. Now, singles match against Hiromu. What are we even doing here? This should be good. That is the weekly wrestling inspection. But anyway, don't forget that in 20 days and a little less than 4 hours, Okada versus Kiyomiya at the Muto final show, final goodbye, the final last for real, truly, we're out of here goodbye show. Don't forget that's also happening too. Lots of great wrestling happening this weekend. And I hope all of you enjoyed this edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. If you're still here and you haven't already on YouTube, give the video a like. If you don't mind, I would appreciate that a great deal. Plus, subscribe if you want. That's also great. 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, 5-star rating on Spotify. All that stuff is fantastic and helps out a great deal. In the meantime, I'm going to wish you all a great rest of your week. Enjoy all sorts of professional wrestling. I will be back on Thursday for the AEW Dynamite review show. Hope you're there. We'll see you next time.